have to describe my guests today, I'll have to say that they are all the king's men. The king who wants to be the number 12 man in his team, who loves to be the number 1 cheerleader though. I'm talking about the Bollywood Badshah, Shah Rukh Khan, and this is his star cast for the season. Leading from the front is Captain Dinesh Karthik. We also have a master practitioner of leg spin, a traditional art with a modern spin. We have Simon Katich, the Australian coach, and one of their fast bowling sensations, Tom Curran, who's been, by the way, quite sensational down under a little while ago. And I am your host, Rika Roy, adding a dollop of liquid sunshine to the set. And I'll start with Dinesh. Dinesh, how has it been for you as the captain of KKR, one of the most sought after franchises in the IPL?
It's been really good. I think it's been a good journey so far. You know, we're standing mid-table. It's a very interesting place to be after 6 games. So the experience has been really good. Got a very nice support staff, a good set of people guiding me, and it's just been a total honor and privilege to be part of this team.
Transitioning from a wicketkeeper batsman to a captain, what has been the journey like?
Oh, I mean, in terms of transition, not too much from a wicketkeeper batsman, but just the responsibility. I mean, and you know, just the fact that you need to think for a few others as well. You need to guide the people in the right path, and that's what I'm trying to do.
Simon, you've also worked with the previous captain, Gautam Gambhir. He was an impulsive captain as well. And how different are Gautam and Dinesh?
Yeah, it's a good comparison. I think the last couple of years, Gautam's obviously had a lot of success as a captain, having won in 2012 and 2014 with the group. But as we all know, the auction is an unpredictable process and anything can happen. So once that decision was made that Gautam wasn't going to be retained, we obviously had to look at the next option, and obviously Dinesh is the man, so he's got the job.
Dinesh Karthik, the captain.
You know, it's quite long. We know each other. You know, playing for the same team, Indian team, and I've been watching DK Bhai from early days of my cricket career. So he's not only a good wicket keeper, he's a very good batsman against spinner. You know, that's really make a lot of difference for the spinner to bowl against him. And as a captain, the first time I'm watching DK Bhai, and he's doing a tremendous job. So I'm very happy with it.
DK, I'll have to ask you about, you know, a wicketkeeper and a spinner's chemistry, because, you know, behind the you're of course not keeping for KKR, but you know, if you're thinking from that point of view, from a wicketkeeper's point of view, what are the inputs you are giving Kuldeep to improve on his craft?
To be very honest, a bowler like Kuldeep, he knows everything. I mean, there's not much you can tell him, because he's very sure about what he's doing. When he goes to bowl to a batsman, he tells me this is what I want, and that makes the job really easy for a captain. It's only if at times I feel that he needs some guidance, you know, I just go up to him and throw him a question and ask him if he can do it. And more often than not, he's very sure about what he wants, and you know, that definitely reflects on him as a person, and the fact that he's been doing so well for India in the last couple of years. That's just, you can just put it down to the fact that he's very sure about the fields he wants, the lines he wants to bowl to batsmen, and that shows the confidence he has in himself. And it's always very easy to be a captain to a bowler like Kuldeep.
Tom, I digressed when I started asking him a question. How would you, you know, rate Dinesh Karthik as a captain, and what kind of inputs is he giving you?
Yeah, look, likewise, I think it's pretty similar things have been said. It's obviously my first time being involved in IPL and under DK's leadership. Like he said, we're mid-table now, but still think we're in a good position to kick on. I think personally he's a really good captain. You know, not afraid to make the tough decisions, not afraid to alter things. There's no set plans, and I think that's how it has to be in 2020. You know, you got to adjust to what's given to you by the opposition and adjust to things in front of you. So I think he's reacted very well and led the side very well. Hopefully we can kick on now.
DK, while on the topic of captaincy, who's the captain at home? Is the squash player the captain or the cricketer?
Definitely the squash player.
Right. And I feel a little birdie told me that even mother-in-law led the Indian cricket team, and she's also been a former cricketer. Do you have any inputs from your mother-in-law?
Yes. No, she doesn't talk to me too much about the sport. In fact, Deepika also doesn't. But I know she's achieved some great things in her career. You know, she was an ex-Indian women's team captain, so you know, obviously she knows the game, she follows the game, she has good knowledge.
What is the dinner table conversation like? Is it on squash or on cricket?
To be honest, you know, as much as we're all from sport, we hardly discuss sport for some strange reason. I guess, yeah, I'm not able to put exactly pinpoint why it doesn't happen, but it's a kind of normal conversation that any families have. More talking about the things that need to be bought and done and stuff like that, and very little about the sport.
One of the things we are, in the cricket fraternity talking about is the culture in teams, and Australian cricket team is undergoing a review of its culture. What you as a coach talk about, and what kind of culture would you like to imbibe in these boys?
Yeah, I think.
Is there a KKR culture that you want to imbibe?
Well, I think it's summed up in terms of how we speak internally, and we talk about the KKR family a lot. So this year in particular, there's a lot of new faces in our squad after what happened at the auction. And in previous years, it had been a very settled squad, and I think that's courtesy of what Venki Meisler has done as CEO in the last probably 5 or 6 years, is that there's a lot of continuity and consistency. And I think that helps in this environment, because T20 is a very unpredictable game, and players don't lose their ability overnight. They can have a bad game, and that fluctuates. They can have a good game. So I think just to have that consistency is something that is already internally ingrained in the franchise. And I guess from a coaching point of view, you try and make sure that is the way that we go about things as well, rather than chopping and changing all the time. So I think something that I've learned in the last couple of years is certainly that the KKR family.
Something called KKR culture.
Yes, I think there is. One of the things that I've seen is credit to Katich said to Venki Meisler. I think he takes time in hiring people, but once he hires them, I think he trusts them, he empowers them, he allows them to do decisions on their own, and he holds them on for some time. He's not somebody who's who's in that so-called hiring and firing sort of zone, and that stays with the players. If you see the players who have played, they played a good 7 years. They were consistent members of the squad, and they've tried to hold back players and bring them back. Like example is Kuldeep, who was part of the previous team, and he's back. And so there is a set of things that they expect from players as well in terms of upholding values and
what are those standards that you really set when it comes to the KKR?
I would like to think we play a good brand of aggressive cricket, but at the same time we don't like to get too verbal or aggressive on the field.
Is it the Aussie brand of cricket?
Aussie brand, I think. It's hard to, now that it's too much in the media's eye. People want certain things out. I think a lot has been said and spoken about them, and I don't want to elaborate a little more on that. But I can speak from KKR's point of view, saying that we would like to play a brand of cricket which is very aggressive. At the same time, something that is not too, we don't say anything personal or get too abusive on the field. It's important to, show a lot with your actions than speak with words. I believe in that.
Tom, you are here for the first time as a part of the KKR team. How is it different being KKR?
Look, it's been an unbelievable experience for me. I landed, and I think the first game was a few days later. So just being in India for the first time, experiencing the grounds for the first time.
Was it overwhelming?
I wouldn't say overwhelming. It was a new experience and one that I enjoyed thoroughly. It's different, but look, I'm loving it so far. It's a great setup. It's a great bunch of guys who made me feel, I felt at home within a couple of days. I think that's filtered through right down through the owners. They're such lovely, lovely people, through the coaches, the coaching, support staff, and our captain. And I think that's just, embedded a team culture which will stand us in good stead for the upcoming, not only this season, but the next couple of years.
Okay, we were talking about IPL being a hotbed for experimentation, and it has thrown up several spinners over the years, and perhaps they have also had the time to experiment, and Kuldeep is one of them who's been experimenting with his craft. Kuldeep, would you say that because of IPL you have been able to hone your skill, your leg spinning skill?
It's very difficult to say, yes, but I got a chance in under 19 World Cup, and I performed well for the Indian team, and then later on KKR picked me, and from there onwards I started realizing that it's a big platform. It's a tough competition. It's a very tough cricket. This is the best league I ever seen, and one of the best. I was working with one of the best guys around me. Likes of Gauti Bhai, Wasim Akram, and Jack Cullis. So working with them and getting mature day by day. Although I didn't play any game for the first 2 years, and I think that was a learning experience for me. And later on, when I go back to domestic cricket, I was more confident and more motivated, to perform well in that condition. So.
And talking about India, you have a great camaraderie going with Yuzvendra Chahal. What kind of inputs do you give each other?
We know each other from last 6 years. We played a lot of cricket against and also in the same team. So it's very difficult for opposition also, and it's very good for us to understand each other very well. We always motivate each other. When we enter the ground, we just talk about the wickets and the batsmen, and we always motivate each other very well. So that's something really interesting, and also good thing for the Indian team as well.
Dinesh, when we talk about the IPL, there's a lot of talk about exceptional talent, the talents who come up through the IPL and then later go on to represent India. Who currently would you see in the IPL scene is that one person whom you see will later represent India among the youngsters who are right now playing?
I think the 3 players in our team. I think Kamlesh has got injured, but Shivam, MAVI and Shubman Gill are terrific players. I think they have a great future for Indian cricket, and if I'm sure they'll do some special things in world cricket as well.
Is it the mental aspect of the game that they pick up more than the actual skill to be able to perform under pressure, the tight match situations, how to get through them?
Look, in my books, it always works both ways. Like, because if he comes up against a good player and he has to show some skill to get better, and if he doesn't do well on a certain day, he realizes his mistake and then he gets better at that skill and he comes back a better player. And when your skill levels keep improving, then obviously your mental side helps you as well, because that's when you get stronger and more confident and your belief levels keep improving. And I'm sure that's how Kuldeep has improved. It's not that the first time they came and delivered and they just got everything done. They are going to get hit, but that's what is going to teach them a lot of things and come back a better bowler the next year. And that's going to in turn help their mental confidence as well. And that's how I look at things, and I'm sure they'll I can already see some of the questions that we have thrown at them in terms of playing them at different positions and bowling them in tough areas, but they're already coming back with some positive answers, which kind of shows how good the cricketers are.
Kuldeep, what is that one thing that you have learned from the IPL?
Look, there are quite a few things. I believe that the IPL is the toughest league I ever faced, and they are one of the best bats in the world that plays the same league, and bowling to one of the best batsmen. Although he's our captain, Virat Kohli, and he's playing against us in the first game of the IPL 2018, and it was very challenging for me to bowl against him. Yeah.
Were you intimidated bowling to Virat?
Not really, but it was. I really want to take his wicket, but couldn't happen in the first game. Probably in the next game.
Okay, Tom, one prize wicket that you would like to take during the IPL?
I think like Kuldeep said, there's some quality players throughout, but a couple of the Indian big players would be quite nice. So Virat, Dhoni on the second leg. Guys like this that I've also grown up watching and dominate international cricket. Those will be nice wickets.
Dinesh, would you say that the quality of matches this IPL has gone up, given how many last over finishes we are witnessing, and the difference between the loser and the winner is very little, very thin?
I think that pretty much sums up the tournament. All 8 teams are very evenly balanced. It's just on that given day who does better, and you can see both teams are pushing each other and trying to get the best out of their teams to produce a result that's in favor of them. And credit to all the teams for picking some fabulous combinations and putting them into play. It's been a terrific IPL till now. Almost all 90% of the games have gone down the line, and pretty much last ball finishes and all that, which is great for the sport, which is great for IPL as a product.
Since we have to let Dinesh go, I'll ask him a couple of quick questions. One is about your wife winning the silver at the Commonwealth Games. Have you had time to celebrate? You were not in Gold Coast, you were in Glasgow, but there was a silver medal that came home.
Yes. Have I had time to celebrate? Honestly, I've not even seen her from the time she's come back, because she's gone to another tournament and she's just probably coming back to India soon, and obviously with IPL going on, I haven't gone and met her. But she will be joining me in IPL at some stage, and then we will celebrate.
And what about following her in the next tournament? Are you going to be at the Asian Games in?
Look, I'm not going to promise, but I'll try my best to get there to Jakarta, and I think the Asian Games is an important tournament for us, so I'll try my best to go there.
And what about having a sports person as your partner in terms of mental aspect of the game? How do you help each other? Is there any input she gives you or you give her?
Look, it's. I mean, it sounds surprising, but the fact is that we don't speak much sport. We're just like a normal, husband and wife. We just do things that normal people do. But having said that, when she has a tough day or I have a tough day, she kind of knows how I'll react and she accepts it for what it is. She doesn't, she just leaves me alone, which I think is a lot because of the fact that she knows what she goes through when she has a tough day, and probably she kind of empathizes from that.
About big match situation, we know there is a India-Pakistan fixture already coming up on the 16th of June next year. When you heard about that, how did you react?
Look, I always get excited. Look, the India-Pakistan game is phenomenal. Even if you play a practice match, the crowd turns up in big numbers.
Right.
The last time we played them in Champions Trophy was a fabulous atmosphere, and
I know,
I'm sure people are already counting down days to that game, and I'm no different.
What about you, Kuldeep? How did you react when you heard about the 16th June fixture, India versus Pakistan?
It's gonna be a good game. I just want to say, I feel like playing against Pakistan is something that really inspire you, to do well against them, and I'm waiting for that.
Right, there are going to be a lot of good games this IPL as well. We are in conversation with the Kings Knights. Stay tuned because there's lots more on the other side of the break. So we are in conversation with the Knight Club and talking about great matches in this edition of the IPL. Let me ask the first question to Simon. Which, according to you, has been the best match in the tournament so far, played by KKR and overall?
Well, I think one of the best finishes probably happened to be the Chennai game. Obviously, we were on the wrong side of it, but when you have a final over of 17 to defend and then the opposition gets them, they've obviously played some pretty good cricket. But it was disappointing from our point of view to lose that game, but I think CSK deserve a lot of credit.
Kuldeep, to you, while we talk about IPL and experiments, there is this debate about dominance of the bat over the ball. Do you feel that right now, after 11 years now, there is some kind of a level playing field whereby you are also being able to extract advantage?
I don't know. Look, sometimes it feels like sometimes it feels like in one-day cricket, it feels like it's not fair to
not a bowler's game.
Yeah, it's not fair to keep four fielder outside the circle after 15 overs, after 10 overs. For the spinners especially, and sometimes it feels like okay, if you take in 50 for 3, the other team is 50 for 3, and you need to bring fielder up in the circle. So sometimes it feels like okay, sometimes it feels like it's not fair for the spinners.
What about you, Tom? Being a fast bowler, and would you say bowling in the death is the most difficult thing in T20 cricket?
I don't know if it's the most difficult. I think bowling in the power play is probably the most difficult. Two fielders out. It is. I mean, the game is clearly massively favourable to the batters. I think that's a pretty open topic. There's no hiding from that. But I think that's, I guess, what spectators want to see as well. So that's just the way the game is. We're developing our skills as bowlers to try and combat whatever the batters are doing. So bowling at the death is hard, but that's also, as a bowler, you want to be bowling in the tough times.
Right. Robin Uthappa, in an interview I just read, he said that cricket is increasingly becoming a power game, and the only option that one is left with is to chase. Do you think that the power equations in the game has changed? It has undergone a paradigm shift.
Oh, there's no doubt it's a power game now compared to how it was probably 20 years ago. And that's due to the players doing a lot more, obviously, work physically, but also, the improvements in bats, but I think also the technique of it all as well. I think that's a big part of it. I think players are training that more now, and the power hitting is trained more than it was, 20 years ago. So the game's evolved nicely, and I think it's great to watch. As a former player, it's certainly an attractive form of a game to watch and very entertaining.
We were speaking to Dean Jones yesterday, and he was saying that the best Australian in this IPL is Chris Leen. But one of the problems with him still lies with the injury situation that he has, and he's not been able to correct that. He only played about 5 matches in the Big Bash. So while you were in the auction, did you consider his injury situation as well, the fact that he gets injured more often than not?
Yeah, look, we weighed up a lot of things when it came to the auction. Obviously, there's a hectic international schedule now, so that comes into calculations with a lot of the players that are playing for their countries, for the overseas guys. But in terms of Chris Lynn, I mean, we saw last year in a small snapshot how dangerous he can be and how much he suited our team and our game style. So it was really a decision of how much we're going to have to pay for him, really. We were confident that he'd do the work to be out in the field, and so far he's been able to be out there and play a good role so far. He's just starting to find his feet now, with a very good 70-odd in the last game against Kings 11. So hopefully he's going to start to peak at the back end of the tournament, and hopefully we can peak as a team then as well.
My last question to all of you, since this team belongs to the Bollywood Badshah, we've seen over the years everything that you do is in Bollywood style. So this year, particularly this year, are you doing anything that is out of the ordinary, which is in Bollywood style though?
I think there's a couple of things behind the scenes. I don't know if we can chat about them.
Yes, correct.
Yes, Kuldeep, please go ahead.
No,
What is it that...
I'm actually learning how to dance, in Bollywood songs. It's very difficult to dance.
Is it an alternative career?
No chance.
No. And what about you, Simon? Anything larger than life that the Bollywood Badshah is making you guys do this time?
I'll stick to watching Shahruk's movies rather than trying to learn dancing or anything like that. I've got 2 left feet, so I'll leave that to the experts here.
Okay, cricketing experts as well as dancing experts. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me on the show, and it was a pleasure talking to you guys.